Hey guys, it's Merce. Welcome back to my channel where I review horror books with a supernatural focus. In today's video, I'm going to be recommending books for you that are based on the atmospheres and settings, storylines, and themes of popular video games in the horror genre, of course. If you're a horror fan, you probably do more than just read horror books. You probably watch horror movies and series, play horror video games. I feel like it just kind of all goes hand in hand. You know, we want the terror all the time, basically. So if you are a fan of games like Layers of Fear and Prey, Dead by Daylight, or Scorn, I have some book recommendations for you that are kind of similar to those themes and feelings that I think you might enjoy. Before we jump into the video though, I wanted to share some of your 2-sentence horror emoji stories that you guys shared with me in the comments. Kathy Tryhard wrote, "Frowning at the unusual notification ding. I went to turn the volume down, but noticed a text message that read, 'Have you done it yet?' One knife was missing from the butcher block, and my boyfriend wasn't around to answer his phone." Pretty good. Anthony Wheeler. "The woman had been lost for hours in a snowy labyrinth of a forest. The wind roared through the trees as it got closer and closer until she realized it wasn't the wind." I feel like all of these are going to leave us like on the cliff, right? Like a huge cliffhanger. Ira41 says, "Lily had fallen lightly asleep that night in the living room of her new home, with the TV showing a monster movie. She suddenly opened her eyes in fear, knowing that the movie she had seen so many times doesn't have the sound of a child singing, a lullaby ending in a countdown." That one really sounds like a poem to me. It's crazy. KimmyChi wanted me to decipher this one, and I did do my own version, but you guys should try to decipher it too and tell us what you come up with. Marie Westerland. "For many nights, she had stood in her window, waiting for something, anything to break up the boredom of insomnia. But when the horned creature stepped out from behind the tree, she desperately wanted the boredom back." Andrea Velez. "She looked up from her book to find a face beside her reflection in the window. Though her mind urged her to run and lock the doors, a more urgent question kept her rooted to the spot. Was the face outside or behind her?" That one's chilling. I think that was like genuinely chilling. Diptanyan. "There are no footprints here. I assured my daughter as I scanned the floor of her bedroom in our new house. Dad, they are on the ceiling." Who's gonna clean the ceiling now? Amanda Chase. "There was something not right about this place since the day they moved in. She decided enough is enough as she told her daughter they were leaving, but her daughter replied, 'You're not going anywhere, Mother.'" Whenever a little kid says, "Mother," you know it's bad news. So Regina from Regina's Haunted Library commented, and she like put a string of emojis, and I don't know if she just did that for like just to put emojis, but I decided to try and like translate it. So I'll tell you this one because the one I did for Kimmy I think is like really lame, but I think this one's okay. "He heard a strange sound and got up to investigate. An apparition stood in the kitchen, and the man grabbed a knife but tripped and fell onto the blade." Yeah. Erie B. "A couple fall in love with a house in the country and move in. They discover it's haunted, but because of the current recession, they're too poor to leave the house, and they just decide to make the best of it." That's the real horror. So the first recommendation I have for you is based on the video game Layers of Fear. Now this is an oldie, but it's a goodie. It's just a fantastic story. It is a fantastic game, especially in VR. This story is about a painter. So we get to learn a lot of his process for his art. We also get to see, you know, what exactly he's making and then learn the terrifying truths behind them. Now, my recommendation for this game is Apartment 16 by Adam Neville. In Apartment 16, we get to discover this apartment complex, which has a very specific apartment within it, Apartment 16, that has a very terrifying secret, and it revolves around these paintings. And these paintings are, you know, they kind of make you think of Francis Bacon a little bit. They just have this strange, eerie, terrifying quality to them. And the book is really walking you through this terror. And everything is so strange and weird and surreal. And Layers of Fear also has this surreal factor to it. It's slightly psychedelic in some ways. And basically what we get to do in Apartment 16 is find out what is up with these paintings. And of course, it's horrible. You know, it's something awful. So in both the game and the book, paintings are really being used as a big part of the storytelling. And it really reflects the fear and the turmoil within the characters themselves. The next one is a co-op game. You can also play it alone, The Demonologist. There's a lot of these types of games popping up where you are a group of ghost investigators and you investigate a location. And if you find that there are any ghosts or entities, you have to find a way to exorcise them. And one detail about this game that I think is pretty cool, and I don't think it's unique to this game, but kind of like very popular in this genre, is that one of the goals of the player is that you have to find all of the body parts, it's like 5 different body parts, to be able to do a ritual in the basement. I really like that. I chose a pretty new release for this one. It's episode 13. This is an epistolatory book about paranormal investigators who are exploring locations with some high-tech equipment. So in this book, you get to read letters and emails and, you know, video footage and stuff like that, scripts and whatever. So you really kind of, it's almost like you're just given a box of stuff and you're sort of going through it in sort of like a found footage type way. So I think this really pairs really well with the experience of being in the Demonologist and being a, you know, and hunting for ghosts yourself. And of course, there's the psychological element, because when you're playing the game and you're walking through the house, it's, you know, it's set up so that you're going to be scared. There's going to be noises, there's going to be things coming at you, you know, whatever. Your teammate coming up behind you is going to scare you. It's just, you're expecting something, so tensions are going to be really, really high. And in episode 13, that's also going to be there because all of these investigators are going to be experiencing that same thing. So yeah. Now this next one, I have 3 recommendations, but it's just because it's kind of a special situation, and it's Dead by Daylight. I love Dead by Daylight. I'm a terrible, terrible monster. I never win. I have escaped a few times though, like just as a regular person, but it is really harrowing. Now, if you don't know the game, you play on a team and you have to survive this area. It's like a very specific area that you're in without getting killed by the killer, which is always something super heinous, and you have to get out of there. So as an overall recommendation for this specific IP, I would say that it makes the most sense because in Dead by Daylight, you're playing with a group of people and you're trying to work together to survive, but you have something that's hunting you down. And in it's very similar. You have a group of people who are trying to find ways to survive while they have this horrible thing that's sort of stalking them from every corner. It's just basically trying to find them and corner them at any time. So that type of tension is definitely there. So, you know, it's survival and teamwork. Now, the other 2 recommendations I have for this are kind of based on characters that are in the game. So there was recently a mobile version for Dead by Daylight where it features Samara from The Ring. So obviously that's going to be a good choice. And there's also a Cenobite from Hellraiser from the Hellbound Heart. Now, the next one is Sons of the Forest. This is a survival horror game that takes place in a forest, but this forest is inhabited by mutated creatures. So, you know, a relaxing time. So of course this is co-op again, so you're kind of working together as a team. You're getting supplies, you're building things, you're, you know, making weapons and things like that, and you're trying to, you know, survive the forest, survive the Sons of the Forest. And my recommendation for that is The Ruins by Scott Smith. It doesn't take place in a forest, it takes place in the jungles of Mexico, but it's very similar where both groups are isolated. Both of them have teams of people that have to work together to survive something that's like inside of nature. So the monster, the enemy, the creature, whatever we want to call it in The Ruins, you know, it's not human. It's not animal. It's like something else completely. It's uncanny, it's weird, it's strange. It's like there's no way for you to know how to deal with this thing without trial and error. And it's the same way in the Sons of Forest as well. The next one is The Quarry. This is a cinematic horror. It's like one of those things where it's like, it's not quite a game. It's not quite a movie. It's kind of like a visual novel that has like a bunch of options. And in this story, there are 9 camp counselors who are trying to survive the night from monsters, but also human foes. My choice for this was Mongrels by Stephen Graham Jones because the main theme here is werewolves. It's werewolves, and it's also a werewolf curse that they're trying to deal with. Mongrels definitely features a little bit more about family and kind of more about trying to, I guess, find the truth of who you are and like fit in a place where, you know, you feel like there's no place for you to fit in. So it's a little bit more, I think, deeper than maybe The Quarry is, but they are still dealing with these same things of like, you know, being a werewolf and what does it mean? There's also these themes of isolation and, you know, trying to keep family secrets. Biohazard Resident Evil 7. This game, oh, it's so scary. You play as Ethan Winters, who ventures into this like derelict, rundown mansion because he can't find his wife. And like, this place shouldn't look like the way it looks. You know, it's obviously there's something crazy going on here. And of course, like as he continues to explore this house, he learns that something's really wrong with his wife, and the people living there are frightening. That's all I can say. But I think I have a pretty decent recommendation, which is Off Season by Jack Ketchum, and it's also very gory. There's a lot of violence, cannibalism, torture. So I think that would perfectly fit in with the vibe. The next one is Prey. Prey is one of my favorite games that I've played, and besides having an awesome soundtrack, it's just a stellar game. And this game takes place in outer space in the future, and basically you're just trying to figure out what's going on this spaceship that has been overrun with these really creepy looking aliens. As soon as I was thinking about this game, I thought about The Deep by Nick Cutter. Even though The Deep is taking place underwater and space to me they're just so similar. You're isolated. You can't just like take off without some kind of very specific kind of vehicle to take you. It's still a place of the unknown. You know, the deep is just like, there are so many unknown factors down there and animals and stuff that we have no idea about. So there could be anything down there. There could be aliens down there. We don't know. The life forms that are in the station in the deep are very similar to the creatures that are in Prey. There's also the body horror aspect. In Prey, you can be infected by these alien things, and also in the deep, things also happen to the body in there as well. Don't want to spoil it. And of course, there's the mysterious mystery, you know, like what's going on in the station, the space station and the deep water station. So it definitely shares this type of adventurous vibe as well. The next one is Scorn. Scorn is a really unique kind of game. If you like Giger, if you like Basinski, those artists, I mean, this game is really going to blow you away. It's stunning, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. It is a puzzle game, so it's kind of like a walking simulator where you kind of walk around, you solve puzzles and stuff. It's very well done. One of the things that sort of make this game special is that everything is like organic. So like your gun it's not really a gun, but it's like an organic thing. It's an organism that you use to shoot something. All of the panels are connected to these, not prosthetics, but these like organic implants that you get. So it's a very weird environment. So the thing I thought for this might be the Luminous Dead. And the reason why I thought that these could kind of pair well together is because in the Luminous Dead, the main character is exploring these caves. They're completely alien to her, so she doesn't know anything about them. So she's just having to experience this planet, you know, just off the cuff. Like, she doesn't know what it is and what's going on there. So it's very environmental that way. So I thought that that would work really well with Scorn. Scorn is also very atmospheric, and hanging out in caves to me just sounds like it has to be. I mean, it has to be an atmospheric experience. You're going to be hearing sounds. You're going to be, it's probably going to be cold or hot or whatever, but it's going to be something that feels very intense and very huge, right? You're going to be surrounded by this. And because of that, it's always going to be this sort of like shocking thing, you know, because you're not knowing what to expect. And that's exactly what you get in Scorn as well. Our last game is Little Nightmares 1 and 2. This is a great game. I really enjoy this franchise a lot. There is a slightly different setup for both games. One takes place in this like cruise ship, and another one takes place like in a city. And both of these environments are like just dark and dreary and decrepit and like just really eerie, kind of gothic. And what this game does is it really embraces what it's like to be vulnerable. So you're very, very small in this big, dark world, and you don't have any real defenses. And these characters are obviously children. So they're kind of heartbreaking games, you know, at the same time, because they're definitely touching on real world issues that come to children, you know. So my pick for this was Charlotte Says. In Charlotte Says, we have a schoolhouse where there's a bunch of children, you know, they're very small. They're like 8 and under or something. And they're living in this environment that is very hostile and demanding and controlling and oppressive because their teacher is like that, you know. So she's not very nice. She's not soft at all. And so these kids kind of have to tiptoe around this environment. But while the teacher is an issue, there are also these little tiny miniature porcelain dolls that are causing havoc. They're very dangerous and they're very creepy. In Little Nightmares, there are these dolls. I think in the first one, it was just little boys, and in the second one, it's little boys and little girls, but they're just like these porcelain dolls with really big heads. Sometimes they're like cracked in half, and they're extremely violent. So I definitely thought about those for like the Frozen Charlottes. Charlotte Says also plays off of the fears that children have. Obviously, Little Nightmares does that really well too. So in Little Nightmares 2, they have like a schoolhouse. It's like one of the levels that you go to, and it is it's so creepy. And like I said, the setting for Charlotte Says is a schoolhouse, so it works out perfect. In both the game and the book, we're also facing traumas. We're facing our psychological fears as well. And in Little Nightmares, it's like you feel so tiny. Like the controls for the game, like the way they set it up, it makes you feel really, really tiny. You know, it's like you jump and it feels like nothing. So those are my recommendations for books based on horror games you like. If you liked this video, please like and comment down below. Let me know what your favorite video game is, and if you think that there is a book that would be a really good companion for that. Be sure to subscribe if you would like to do that, and besides that, please take care of yourselves, look out for each other, and I will talk to you next time.